the downtown committee. And anyway, I've been on economic development for some years now.
I'm Lynn Oplenop, PPC Flexible Packaging, and been on economic development for a while.
Chris Phillips, on Stadium Cinemas, the official greeter.
And the tour guide.
And the tour guide.
We met in the parking lot.
He was going, do you work here? No.
Kirk Beecher, resident. I'm on the planning commission, I'm actually the chair of the planning commission as well. So,
I have questions for you later.
okay, good, that works for me.
Yeah,
David Charles. I'm a business owner, but on the Economic Development Committee for quite a few years now. Own one of your tents, bought it from you several years ago, and had a great
What's your business?
tent. I own a private equity company, and so we have usually about 3 to 4 portfolio companies at a time that we run. But one of them right now is a cold storage, a national cold storage with about 8 locations.
Cool.
Across the US and trucking company.
And we're not gonna have him on our committee much longer because Spring Lake started a new city and he's running for city council.
Really? What, that's to me?
So I'm Brian Hewlett, I chair our economic development committee, and I'm on the city council.
Jill Spencer, part of the staff, representing development services. Kim Holland Drake, city recorder.
Robert Mills, the city manager. Okay, the city folks, yeah, we're definitely divided here.
Yeah, so what this group is, this group is just for economic development for the city, so kind of a, we report to the city council and.
So you have work to do for this meeting, but you routinely have somebody in
Right,
to
yeah.
talk about
Yep,
their.
Yep, so we get to know people and businesses in town and who they are and what they do, and yours was.
So what's your objective? You're just trying to get a peek into like the business interests? So you're just trying to, you inviting me here is just you trying to stay just connected, even though you've got people who are in business on.
Well, yes, yeah, it's
participating.
not just the city, but it's this whole group. That's our objective is to, we have like, we broke out we have 6 different committees, but one's like retention, so that kind of be with what that group would fund, or you is that we have a business here, who are they, why are they here, how do we keep them here, how do we help them grow? And so that's just, this is a learning for us about different businesses, so they come in and say, oh, here's what we do, yeah, that's what we want to know, but then is there anything that could be done in the city to help that business and things like that, so that's kind of the objective of this. So why don't we we'll go right to you, and I'm gonna do a couple of things after, because we have the minutes to approve, but why don't we just go to you, Justin, you can tell us about your business.
Stand up or?
No. This, yeah, this is very important.
Awkward. I'm normally an awkward person. So yes, we manufacture tents. It's a subcategory called wall tents. I don't know if any of you are familiar. It's a subcategory of that where the target market is the horse and mule packers who camp in the backcountry.
Maybe Robert, maybe you can bring up home tents and they can see what it looks like.
Yeah, romanhome.com, spelled without a G, roaming without a G. That has given us some little bit of difficult hindsight, right? So we had another business in town. My brother Forrest and I, CAD kind of worked for construction, and it went pretty well. And I thought, starting another business is going to be easy. I have learned that American manufacturing has a lot of disincentives. So, but we've built a great product that we've matured over the past 4 or 5 years, and for the target segment, I think we've kind of nailed it. I mean, it's a niche of a niche of a niche, you might say. And our current barrier is cost of manufacturing. That is the number one thing in our way. We are actually already sourcing some of our parts from overseas, and we are in fact looking at sourcing the entire product from overseas. It's just the economic reality. And in my mind, the barrier, for us in America is actually what I think of as the tax stack. Which, and this isn't me trying to pick on anybody, but this is just, it's just one more layer of taxes and regulations. So if you're asking like my opinion about the best thing to do, and that's definitely stick to the purposes of small government, and I shouldn't really, yes, even need to interact with the city to run a business. That's kind of my take. I don't know if you want more specifics about the business.
Now, I think a little bit more of how you started and how you're marketing maybe and.
Well, we've been familiar with, users of wall tents for, I don't know, decades. I've got another older brother, he builds these cylinder stoves for wall tents, and so he kind of got us into that a little bit, and I just wanted a better product. And I could kind of see how there was a lot of opportunity to make a better product. So we saw a gap in the market that was kind of underserved, and that gap would be basically for the horse and mule packers. The wall tent was this really big chore, long poles, it's awkward, it's big. So what we did, if you go up to, I can show you, if you go scroll, just go to shop. And then go to, it's gonna be the Bandit product, which is our latest product. Just go through the pictures there on the arrows. Yeah, I keep calling this, get a picture of the bags. Yeah, this picture, okay, hang on, that's probably a good one, go back one. So what we did is we broke everything down into kind of smaller chunks and pieces so that it packed on panniers. I don't know if you're familiar with, it's just a basket for horse and mules. And it packs into 2 bags that you see there. So they have kind of this balanced load system. Because this is kind of a heavy product, it's about 110 pounds, which seems like a lot if you're familiar with little tents. But this is a big tent that can carry 10 inches of snow, 60-mile-an-hour winds. You can survive in -30. So, and we kind of taken the chore out of it so that one person can set it up, one person can take it down. It's got folding instructions, so we really worked hard to take the chore out of what this product does, and we've succeeded at that quite well, and our customers do love the product. You've used it.
Yeah, yep, I own the Nomad on there, and great tent. Kind of the big advantages that I see over like my other wall tent is just the location, like of the stove in the center, and it's a really unique design on there. It's just so functional.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very well built product too on there.
Yeah, the newer version, a little bit better still. It's got aluminum poles, so it's shaved off about 15 pounds. It's got the mud skirt on the bottom now. It's got some other structural features. That's got a Velcro replaceable zipper, because zippers just have a fatigue problem, and we haven't figured out how to solve the dimension of like what the zipper is. So we created this product. I call it Fit Zipper, but basically you can just peel it out. So 2-inch wide Velcro strips, and then you can just slap a new one in. But really what you want to do is, if you're in a situation where you have tension going through your zipper, that's when zippers get ruined. So, but when you set up a tent in the wild, you sometimes have a dip or a crown or a skew, and that's what causes the damage. So the Velcro, what it allows you to do is you can adjust. You can pull it off, put it back on. There's a lot of adjustment margin. So in theory, you shouldn't even have to replace it ever. So we tried to solve, one problem after another: the packability, the ease of setup and takedown, and then the heat in the center, which, if any of you have ever camped in an old school wall tent, the stove's usually like in the corner. So you got like the hot corner, and then you've got a cold corner. And that's because that's the way they did it 150 years ago. And to us, it made more sense to think of it like a campfire. So you put the campfire in the middle, and anybody that's kind of camping, which I presume you all have, you gather around. There's this kind of a social element to gathering around the radiant heat, and which you've experienced. So that was important to us and we think we kind of solved that. It's kind of solved for one size, really. So, you know, we have our limits because we don't have a whole range of sizes. We have 2 sizes. So we have in fact solved a problem for a segment of the market. So we're very passionate about the product.
Do you sell stoves?
We do. We sell the stoves. We don't make the stoves. Anyway, so we manufacture here, you know, we do all the sewing here.
And do you outsource that? Is that outsourced or is that,
The stove's made in Utah.
I mean, for the manufacturing of the tents?
No, it's right there in Payson. Right
Oh,
there in the-
you just write it.
across the street.
Oh, okay.
So we've got, we brought in some people that have experience with sewing. You really don't want me sewing. So I've got my brother Ben, he's a cowboy, lifelong cowboy and packer, so he's got kind of the outdoor experience. He loves to break things. So he kind of has really helped us on that end. I am a maker fundamentally. I'm not really all that outdoorsy, but I've always loved to make things. I've got a lot of experience in construction and cabinetry. A lot of experience in CAD, some lean manufacturing training, degree in technology management that's helped me kind of see the bigger picture of what we're doing. So that's kind of fundamentally who I am. And Brian was asking about like marketing. It's just kind of social media. Early on, I've tried some marketing, you know, ideas and strategies, and we have people soliciting us all the time for marketing. And I feel like marketing is generally a black hole. Like you can pour money into it. I don't know if anybody of you, yes, I see nodded heads over here. Not done right, they'll take all the money you can throw at it, right? And it's not that marketing people and bad people, it's just that it's a tricky problem. But I have discovered that our barrier to selling more is in fact our price, our retail price. It's just really high compared to what the market will bear. So anyway, that's our marketing scheme. We are manufacturing here. The poles, we were having them built in the US. Now we're importing those. So parts we're importing from China. And sad to say, my experience working with the Chinese has been great. So I know that everybody's kind of like politically, everything's moving, you know, trying to get the attention back on American manufacturing. And I like that. And I've had kind of my own angst over this issue because I'm passionate about America, you know, and I love that we have an American made product. But, you know, the rubber meets the road problem. So
how much tariffs can affect you? Have you figured anything out? Or?
the tariffs are not without impact, but it is still cheaper, even at 100% tariff. It is still cheaper to get product overseas.
Oh.
And as America, I think we have largely lost our acumen as manufacturers. Like this, we're all in finance or something else, or marketing, or insurance, or architecture, or medicine. We're just not manufacturers anymore. Anyway, I feel like I'm kind of brought a problem to you. When we're on the phone, you talked about, hey, like what are the ways to help? You know, in my brain, I'm thinking, you know, I don't know if you want to transition to that part. I don't even know how much time I have.
Yeah, you got as much time as you want, but I do have a question. So why are you in Payson when you live in Provo? Why are you manufacturing here?
We were already in Payson with another business.
Good.
That one moved south. It's circumstantial. It was fine. At Payson, Provo, I don't see it. I mean, it gets more expensive as you move north. And the seamstress who's our head seamstress that I knew that was capable, she's in this area, so it made sense to just kind of run here.
It's about how many do you manufacture a month?
It's not a lot. We're talking maybe our capacity right now is only about 15 units, maybe 20 units a month max.
I'm guessing most of them you sell out to guides that where you sell most of
A lot of guides, or self-guided hunter types. Yeah, a lot of guides, sure, and it's the whole country. It's a Mountain West primarily, but there's some demand. There's some in the Eastern Mountains, you know, the Appalachian Mountains. A little bit of demand in Canada, but getting stuff to commit to Canada is a little bit of a pain. They've got import problems, tariffs problems of their own. Alaska's a little different, because our product's a little heavy. You really need a lightweight product that goes on an airplane for Alaska hunting. It's more ideal to really go lightweight. But I would say about 60 or 70% of our sales, and growing as a ratio are online sales. So our location, the location advantage we have here is less about Payson and more about the fact that we are close to the freeway and that we have a tent on the roof that advertises. So that's quite the benefit.
I was gonna ask you if that attracts, that's what kind of got me to look at your product initially.
Yeah, a lot of people have either got on the website or come to see us there because it's seen us from the freeway.
How many employees do you have, Justin?
7, mostly part-time, 7 or 8. I'm not sure how that's gonna change in the next while. We just recently, we've been sampling from a manufacturer in Pakistan for the tent manufacturer there that's been manufacturing for 100 and something years. And we just placed an order for, like a trial order for 50 units from them. And just to kind of explain the cost difference there, for us to manufacture it here, we are, with shipping, we're gonna be at about 40% of the cost of making care.
Wow.
And the quality is good enough. And we like to pay attention to quality.
So I know you're kind of inventor and entrepreneur. Are you looking at other products to supplement this product?
We've got some adjacent products to it. So, I mean, but it's just related to accessories. We have built a bedroll package system. I'm actually looking to develop what's called sleeping bag quilts, which is kind of an obscure product I'd have to explain. We've looked at heater systems. We've got some kind of some supplementary systems. We're looking to sell a product made by Camp Chef, which is also imported from China, but basically we're going to do our own modifications to optimize it for the packer. Because with that business, our primary customer is the packer. So yeah, we're looking at other adjacent things. And then I'm also basically a freelance, I would say, constructability designer. It's related to the construction business. It's just a different company entirely, and that business is just based out of my home in Provo. That's something where it's easier to make money in that business. So I'm still kind of torn with this manufacturing business. It's like, it's still in the back of my mind. I might just need to sell this business to somebody that can, just deal with the international logistics of it, because that's what I was really, really naive. I think, oh yeah, we'll just make a business and we'll manufacture. This is gonna be great. I like to make things. So, but I didn't really understand, the cost disparity. I mean, I can routinely buy a part here in the United States, let's say for $1. And I can routinely find a just as good a quality to my spec part made in China for 10 cents with shipping. And that's what I realized I was up against. I didn't know this before. This is what I had learned. If that's all I learned about the state of American manufacturing, then this whole business endeavor was worth it, even if it doesn't pan out at the end. So we're just into our 5th year. We're just to where we feel like the business could stand on its feet. We've been investing a lot of money from our construction businesses into this, more than we expected, frankly. So, and it's kind of I realized I came in here with like a burr under my saddle. Because it's like, there's just so many barriers, you know, there's regulations and there's taxes and it's not any one particular person's fault or a city or a county or the state, but there's the stack. There's the stack of everything from a tax standpoint, then there's the stack of everything from a regulation standpoint, which our business is not heavily regulated, it's textile, you know, versus mining or, you know, construction and so we have a governmental environment that just kind of, you know, historically, said, yeah, let's import stuff from China, and China's like just the cost of electricity in China is like 4 cents and dropping per kilowatt hour. As we're here in Utah, we're probably what, 12 or 13 cents and increasing, which affects like the cost of aluminum. So I can get aluminum for 1/10 the cost of here. So like aluminum poles. So it's kind of hard to stay optimistic. Does that make sense? And I feel like I've betrayed America a little bit because we're gonna just import the product. Anyway, as far as how you can help. What do you want to talk about?
What about planning?
It's really hard to go home at the end of the day.
Oh.
That's it. I don't know what's going on the west side, but it's getting bad, and I see there's a new college getting built, and I tried to go out the other way, you know, through the. So the north, and there's the business park.
So
You have to go there, then you have to go north over. I mean, you can go to Utah Avenue, then you're stuck downtown, and then, or you could go around the north and.
We're working on that. It's just a slow process.
Oh, I know what the problem is.
Some days it takes me longer to go from the tent shop
Right.
to the on-ramp, than from the on-ramp to my home in Provo.
It's the lights, the way they have the lights set up, so we gotta get with UDOT, because when you're trying to go from the west to on 800 south.
The
You'll
light's
have,
about 3 seconds there.
yeah, you can go, they'll get like 4 cars or 5 cars, especially you have trucks.
Or one truck.
Yeah, or one truck, but all the people going south have that turn lane, and you'll have 20 cars go through on a turn lane, and everybody's gone, or coming off the interstate, they all, in one light, they almost be all gone, but this one takes 4 lights to go through, so I'm just like, we gotta give it UDOT.
Whatever. It's
I know what you're doing, because I use that too, so.
it's kind of just a superficial thing. I'm mostly just curious about, cause you're with planning, I presume that you have at least a grand vision for the west side out there. I mean, there's a
We have a
nice
vision,
road
yeah.
that looks like it's going.
The city does.
Somewhere.
And
That's
we're
what-
working with UDOT on some of those things.
Oh.
Jill's a better one to talk to on that.
Over planning, so.
but- There's some big plans there. It's just gonna take time.
I saw a sign, Red Bridge Station. What does that mean?
there's just a large development that's happening, mixed-use development that's happening.
Is there gonna be
around
Red
the-
Bridge?
Around, well.
Oh.
Well, it's funny because there is an existing vessel bridge for the railroad track there that's called Red Bridge, so they've taken the name of that
Oh,
historic
that's a
bridge.
lost opportunity.
to use for- So, but yeah, it's a large development that's only going to create more traffic and more concern at how we move around the community.
Right, and there's that railway right there. Is that part of UDOT's future front runner corridor, or that's a different one?
Well, their corridor goes to there, but their front runner is gonna be
On the north interchange.
It's up at the north end.
Right.
But
I know they always like to have a vision board of like
Right.
the future.
But UTA does own that corridor down to this area.
How hard would it be to get UDOT to change the lighting system, at least to be a flow?
It shouldn't be that hard.
It should be that hard.
Cause I saw some.
The lights,
Look,
it shouldn't be that hard,
I,
but it is
I'm
UDOT.
not asking for like a special certain, hey, I want to be favored on the light. It's just.
Right.
It's not about me and my problem, it's, I can see that you have competing traffic flows, I can tell that you need an upgrade, and it probably is largely UDOT's problem.
They haven't changed the sequencing there since development has come in.
Well, I think they put the turn light in, that's.
Yes, they have, but they haven't changed the sequence.
Right.
So,
It just feels like what you're seeing, you planning people, you're probably seeing this, is that on the south end, that south interchange, you guys have a lot of growth.
Yep.
And I can tell that your just your traffic infrastructure is burdened. So, and I'm not saying, hey, that's what I need. That's what I need for my business to succeed.
I can go home.
My opinion is, yes, these are the reason why taxes do in fact have to exist, is because these types of problems have to be solved. But it's like in city government, I don't know how it is, if you feel like you can probably solve a lot more problems if you just had more tax revenue. I mean, even in your document here, you're talking about how can we, what was it? Improve tax, the tax base, basically, to develop the tax base, because you can solve more problems with more tax funds. And I think that's a double-edged sword that you working for the city, I see a yawn over there, and you probably heard this before. If you're always trying to solve it with more tax revenue, it's just the next.
Right, and
next
we're
layer.
we're looking.
Creativity and sacrifice are almost just as important as ingredients.
But we're looking at sales tax, so that's where the most of the city money comes from, the sales tax. We're looking.
It's 1.1%,
We
Payson?
1%.
1%.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why we're looking to try to get more retail in here, because then people can stay here, buy town and sell tax.
So you're trying to attract more retail.
Right. That's our big thing for spot. We aren't trying to raise taxes, we're trying to get more taxes because more retail. Great, any more questions for Justin? Hey, we love you coming, we love you having in our community, and anything we can do to help them.
I don't know. It's a lot. My challenges are a lot bigger than Payson City. The fact that we haven't talked, in my opinion, up till this date is a really good sign to me, because you haven't been, trying to interfere. I mean, that's ideal government, is the fact that I didn't need to even interact with you. So that's kind of a testament to the fact that you've probably been doing a good job.
Okay, thanks, Justin. Any other questions for Justin? Okay, you can leave or you can stay if you want. Whatever you want to do.
You're new, you just showed up.
Oh, I'm Jim Rowland. I'm the president of the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
What does the rest of the meeting entail?
This agenda just.
It's exciting.
Just,
Edgy, your seats.
the ICSC is a shopping center convention that we went to, innovation centers in the Amtech building. So we're gonna talk about that a little bit. So we have a business resource center we're gonna have in there.
I'm welcome to stay and be a fly on the wall.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Good. Great, thank you. So, let's, go back to, the prior minutes. Anybody, any questions on those, or anybody want to make a motion?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we got enough vote, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
just you.
okay. I think that's the only thing we're voting on. ICSC report, Dave and the mayor both aren't here, so. So ICSC is the shopping center convention down in Las Vegas, where, we had a really good, met some really good people down there and had some good success. We met with, President Stuart Adams. We were able to talk to him about, Smith's Marketplace. He built the one in Springville. And also we were able to, talk to him about the new interchange that we're getting up north. Because you know what the phase one is, we're doing off ramps and on ramps going north. But if you look from economic development standpoint, our market is from there south. And so how are people gonna come and get use that area, you know, if you get a Home Depot or something like that, they aren't gonna wanna come if they can't get that traffic easily from the south. So we talked to him about that. He has some political sway. He was the president of the Senate, and we talked about that. And then another thing is MTech, when they got the new building, but they asked for money for teachers. And asked for $2 million for teachers. And the legislature didn't give it to them. So once we, you know, it's through, it
Whether
was,
they approved the building,
yeah.
but no funding.
Right, right. So and it didn't get to, I mean, it really got stopped in the committee that oversees education, the higher education. And so they get so all the funding they need, so they aren't opening as many classes as they could open up there. And which is really disappointing, but we talked to him about that. He says, I guarantee you, this next legislature, they'll have the money, so that will be good for us.
So they'll start light in the fall then,
Right,
and so.
because they're bringing a lot of teachers over from Spanish Fork, and they have some other money there, but they just won't be able to offer all the classes. Then we talked, and we went with Woodbury, we met with Lowe's, with Woodbury, and also Smith's Marketplace. We had good meetings there. So who else? We met with a couple of people looking at doing restaurants, things like that. So it was really good meetings. It's the best we've been there. And Robert, you can add something to that too. Robert was there.
Yeah, I would just add that I thought it was the most productive trip that we've ever had. I mean, as I haven't gone on as many as the mayor and Brian, but definitely felt like Payson is being looked at a lot more, and kind of right for development, right for people to come in, especially that area down by what we affectionately call the pit, down by Woodbury, where Chris has her theater down there.
All by yourself, out there in the middle of nowhere.
Standalone.
But I think the overall message is that you're not gonna be alone for long, so.
Woo woo.
Yeah.
Any questions about our trip to ICSC? Okay,
Any of them coming to the golf tournament?
we gave some out, so.
We have lots of invitations.
Yeah. The Innovation Center, just a little update on that. So we did get the lease approved for that Innovation Center. It's about 3,000 square feet in the MTech building. And the MTech's also approved the lease, and then we also approved through the RDA budget to be able to hire somebody to run the Innovation Center for us. We've had some people go through that. We had CC Bank donate $10,000 to help for that employee. So it's people have gone through it and see that they're all excited about it. So we just got to, and we have a company that's kind of putting the policy and procedures first how to run that. So it'll be really good. And a nice thing about it, so it's 11-year lease, and then we can renew it, but the lease is if we find something better or it doesn't work for us, we get the money back. So we prepaid the lease up front, so it's all being paid up front. Then besides just, and we have a pretty good lease on the area that we have. We have 6 little office spaces, a podcast room, a place where just you can come put your laptop, so a little conference room. And plus a bunch of equipment that people can use for small businesses. But the nice thing is too, that we just lease that place, but we don't have to lease the bathrooms because that's not part of it. So we get those for free. And then there's a couple of conference rooms that could hold up to about 140 people, I think, that we can use also when we aren't paying for. So really a nice value. So, and MTech's been a great partner, and they want to partner with us more. Any questions on the Innovation Center?
When do you think that'll be open?
The building's supposed to be open, finished the end of July. So I would think, shortly after that,
Where are we at with the list of equipment? I know we talked about last time, like reaching out just to see what was commonly used in other locations.
We have not got with MTech, they have not ordered equipment, so that's probably be very, you gotta be doing that really soon. So if anybody has ideas for equipment for a innovation center,
So, Vernal has an innovation center and, at the conference I went to for Main Street, the person who ran that was there. And I picked her brain on some stuff and she'd be a great contact for stuff like that. Of course, she said it's specific for their area.
right?
So it wouldn't directly translate, but she'd be great
Your
resource.
life can be very similar.
Yeah.
We're probably, I've been to Vernal one, I think we'll have more, but.
Yeah.
So if anybody has a list of, I mean, we want to get 3D printers and embroidery machines,
I know that laser
Laser,
table when
laser.
we went to St. George, they said was the most popular
yeah,
item that they had.
Which one?
laser.
It was a laser table that cut out wood and like they had,
Forge things.
yeah, they had Tuacon there when we were there. Cutting stuff out and, but they were saying that that was the most heavily used item.
And we have one of those, or actually two of those, if you wanna come look at them.
Do you?
So just to see what can move over there.
Yeah, I'm going along with that, we won't be able to get a big one because it's gonna have to be equipment in that innovation
In that
area,
space.
those have to be just, but even a small laser cutter.
The heat press are a lot more valuable than an embroiderer.
Yeah, either, probably both, but,
Yeah.
so,
But you have so many companies that can outsource embroidery. You
Right.
need heat press, but heat press you can do about a one-off short run, but like you don't need a DST file to do the embroidery, you just get the material. Or heat press it on.
yeah, and a lot of this is just for one-offs.
Yeah.
And they figure out how it's gonna work, things like that, so. Next thing is, inland port. Robert, do you wanna, that email I sent you, do you wanna open that? So I don't know if you know what an inland port is, but the one they start up in Salt Lake by the airport, the big controversial one. That's still controversial, but they have a different model now, cause we talked to them, a few years ago about doing an inland port in Payson. But they've changed the model a lot, so we just wanna go through it real quick. So inland port, basically, there's some advantages of having an inland port because you can go, I don't know if you know what an RDA is, it's like an RDA, but it's a lot simpler. But an RDA is where you can give money that's, Robert, bring this.
I need a code.
If you send next, or it should. Oh, it's gonna send it to me.
Yeah,
It send it to me.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. On the internet's not working. There it is. Something went wrong. That's what.
Oh, well, that's something.
So is this similar to that, railroad spur?
You could put rail spur in the,
It really functions more as like a plan. An RDA or redevelopment area. Where you're able to capture some of the tax increment that's generated from future development in an area. Except the really major advantage is that you don't have to go to all of those taxing entities and get approval for it. So right now, when you pay property taxes, right? The school district takes off 75%, and the county takes some, and Payson's portion of property tax is like 12%. But as things develop, that property value increases. So that's what's called the tax increment, is that separation of what the present property tax.
So Robert, that's what I'm gonna show,
Yeah.
so 38,
You got it?
380058. If you go to that slide that you're talking about. It should be about 4 down, I think. Right there. Well, I want to.
So essentially, all properties have an existing tax base. What they're currently zoned for and what they're currently doing. So if it's just a vacant piece of ground in an agricultural area, you're getting a couple bucks a year off of that piece of property. But if it develops, then that property is going to be more valuable and the property tax is going to increase over time. What this is able to do is set that existing tax base for all of those taxing entities that I described for a period of 25 years. So that base rate is going to stay the same on what they're going to receive from the property tax, but the value is going to increase of that property, and that's what in an inland port it's called tax differential. Those are semantics specifically for so they can get around different things rather than calling it tax increment. So same thing, basically it's just saying the difference between what the existing tax base is and what the
Future value.
the developed tax rate is. So what happens is it goes up in value. All of those taxing entities get to split an additional 25% of that value. And then 75% of the value gets put back into that specific area that's been created for that inland port or an RDA or whatever. And that money is used to work on infrastructure or develop things within that area that are needed for the future development of that area. And so it creates an income stream that's not overly burdensome to anybody else, and it allows the tax that's actually being generated in the area to go back into that area for improvements in that area. So there's some definite advantages to it.
So, and one of the reasons to do this is get the infrastructure in which the city doesn't have to pay for, or maybe developer, so they have incentive to come in and build sooner and nice places. Plus also a couple of things that we found out through the Inland Port Authority is that they'll actually go out and recruit businesses for you. So when like I do an RFI at EDC Utah, they would do that for us, and they would help try to recruit businesses to Payson or whoever's in there. They can only do it for whoever has an inland port. But I think that's another advantage. Plus, there is a way that you can use some of this money for incentives for, like, if you hire employees or things like that. It says as post incentives, but there are some opportunities for incentives. So I think it has some real advantages for us. And another thing I found out too is I always thought, well, it's really hard now because we don't have a really nice big defined area like our business park to do this. But for this, you can just select properties. You don't have to have one area.
One big contiguous area. There are different zoned properties or what we anticipate in the future to be like industrial area or something like that. And then we can pour the benefits into those specific areas.
So what happens after 25 years?
It can either be extended or generally what would happen is the existing tax rate comes up to all of those taxing entities now get the full benefit of that developed piece of property. So basically this just enables that property to become more valuable over time. But as it's doing that, the money generated from the area goes into the area. And then the taxing entities actually like that as well, because then at the end of that period, they're delivered with a much more valuable.
Does it have to be on vacant land or existing stuff is possible too for inland port?
I don't know, yeah, I don't know what the advantage would be for an existing building, because you aren't gonna bring anything up, and there's no, the advantage is bringing money to infrastructure and things like that, so existing building.
Unless there's an upgrade, because
Yeah,
that's.
if there's an upgrade.
Because they're trying to solicit us in Salt Lake and offering some incentives, but it's on an existing building, but we would have to do significant upgrades, like for power load and what we require.
Some market
So
value.
that's in the area, those infrastructure improvements could actually.
Which
be
you can-
utilized, which is an advantage because you can't use impact fees for existing development.
Because under the current scenario, if we develop like South Interchange, that majority of that money goes to the school district. Under this, you could use it to develop the lights and the road and the overpass and specify that, because that's a development. The question is, how much control does the city give up to the Inland Port Authority making decisions, and how do they dictate that? Because I live in middle of one in Payson, in Spanish Fork, so we went through all this, and I mean, it is good, and it's lower, they have access, developers have access to lower cost of money and for financing and a lot of things, so there are a lot of advantage for infrastructure. But they dictate a lot of that, the cities, they still have their overarching zoning and everything else, so they can control it, the planning commission. But the Inland Port Authority has a lot of power.
They do, and there's no question about that, but talking to them and, you know, coming from them, they seem pretty upfront in those disadvantages, but yeah, they're the one, the money goes to them. Then it flows back to the cities, but we do have, like you say, the zone power and the approval of, you know, the building permits and things like that. That's where our thing comes in, and we can kind of stop things or dictate things, I guess, that way too. So, but yeah, there is that, the money does flow to them and back to the projects. So, and they will. Another thing is you can bond, and this helps bonding for those projects, and the city doesn't have to, it's not on the city's books, and the cities aren't obligated for any of those bonds. So if something falls through, the city doesn't have the responsibility of making sure that happens, so it's some advantage now. Thanks, Lynn.
Yeah, I gotta run, so thank you.
Any other questions on the inland port? So I think it's something we really ought to look at seriously to try to help get some of these manufacturing businesses and Payson, especially with our MTech coming and having advanced manufacturing.
We have some business owners that are in the process of developing in Payson that have reached out and strongly encouraged us to pursue something.
They did bring up cold storage. When he's talking to us.
Yeah, they've actually been pursuing us really heavy for Salt Lake, but we'd love it if we could do something down here too.
Yeah, would this help? We have something like this in place, you think?
Possibly, just, you know, with infrastructure and.
Right.
And know what we need to be able to do something like that.
Okay, good. Ty, you were asking about the railroad, the spurs, and this could be in that area. A couple other nice things about it too is that, we can have stuff in the county. If it's in our annexation boundary, we'd have to work with the county to put these in that area. And one other thing I was thinking about. Lost the train of thought, but anyway, I think there's some real advantages for something like this.
Awesome.
Any questions on that? Anyway, something we're gonna be looking at. Committee reports and assignments and goals. So golf committee.
We're just working on sending out invitations right now. That's the big goal.
Okay, that's the fast report. just with our golf event, it's just really interesting because, so Justin, I don't know if you know, but we do an economic development golf event every
Yeah,
year.
let me.
Yeah, up at the golf course. To try to bring people in that might be interested in coming to Payson, plus some government officials who pull strings for us, but. We have a helicopter ride, and take people around the city, and it's in the fall when all the colors are out, but. We've become known as a great golf event, because when the Inland Park guy was here yesterday, I handed him an invitation to our golf event. He goes, "Oh, I've heard about this golf event, so the best there is," so anyway. They hired somebody that had been to it before, and they said, all she could do is talk about your golf event, so. Okay, Kirk, strategic plan, website messaging.
We've gone through it. Have some new goals and that. We don't have them typed up yet to pass out to everybody to show, but we do have that. We'll get that taken care of soon and get it to everybody to show what kind of goals we've got for the strategic plan.
Could you set up a meeting for us when we get together?
Yeah.
Robert, business retention.
Business retention, kind of three main areas of that is, we had a meeting yesterday and really talking about how we help people have the resources to start a business in Payson, making sure that those are readily available. We have some good kind of guidelines on how to do that. We want to provide support and networking education opportunities for existing businesses. So they're working on maybe putting together like a lunch learn type of event. We want to support the chamber in what they're doing, but maybe augment a little bit to capture more people and also give the chamber an opportunity to reach out a little bit more. And really that would be for us to provide an opportunity. The first thing that we're going to do is maybe do that at the Innovation Center so people can get a taste of what that facility is and how it could be beneficial to their business, which is starting a business. And then also learning from those businesses that have either closed down from Payson or moved from Payson, like we need to understand what resources we could provide or what scaling they did to move away from Payson or just data is always really helpful.
Thank you. So, Mark's not here, but, the MTech UVU committee or education committee really is doing great. They had a booth at the Adventure Day. They had some good contacts there. I think they're doing really good. And so the biggest thing they're working on is internships. So helping business get internships and then helping the students find internships. That's what they're working on.
Does Justin do any interns?
I haven't yet. I would be open to it.
Yeah, they got some pretty talented kids.
At MTech?
It's through the high school mainly,
Okay.
but MTech and I guess students at MTech and UFU are also doing it.
All three of them, MTech, the ALC, which is Advanced Learning Center for Nebo School District in Spanish-Fort, and then MTech and UVU all have internships.
Well, this is actually something that's been recently I've been thinking about is getting a student in for web development because we're mostly e-commerce versus retail, physical retail. And we've kind of just done ourselves and used the Wix platform. We might be shifting to the Shopify platform, but I feel like it would be good to get the young person that's passionate about, the web space, specifically e-commerce, because I feel like those of us working on it are a little out of touch with what that needs. Does that make sense? The website I know is more important than I've given it.
Well, I've seen something for you is I don't know if you do it, but those short videos on the Instagram and that.
Yeah, we do that.
I know, good.
We just had a really successful viral videos.
Oh, good.
12 million views.
Oh, there you
For us,
go.
that's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
So I know it's important in any business that that works in the retail space has got something.
So I don't know if the link is working, you know, Brian, but I mean, you can go in and request an intern and just kind of tell your story, what you're looking for, and it'll automatically go into our system.
Okay, well, can you explain that? You said high school and then you mentioned MTech and then
And
UVU. right?
UVU,
Yeah, so you fill out the form and kind of request what you're looking for, and then the three schools will talk about it and try to figure out the best fit for your need.
Oh,
I'll.
yeah, if you can
I'll
send me
have to
some
send- I'll send
resources,
that to you.
I'd love that, I'd love that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that'd be really good.
Okay, downtown committee, Ty.
Yeah, so, we've got a new chair of promotion. And she did great. We worked together, kind of got this event going for June 6th. And just a reminder, every first Friday of the month until October, we shut down the road and have a little party downtown. And so we had a great turnout. Brian, you and the mayor left before the prizes were given out, but I think that was probably the highlight of everyone's favorite thing. But it was great. We had the fire department there, police chief came with a cruiser. Kids could crawl up in the fire truck or the ambulance, get their photos taken. It was just a great gathering. And it was called Adventure Safely to support Adventure Days. And so I think it was great. Our next one's July 4th downtown. We'll see how that goes. Kelly's doing awesome. She has some people on our committee always looking for more. We also this month I've made her name's Ray, director of design for us, and she is working on social media website stuff for us. And she's also gonna help us work alongside a potential intern that we have coming in to gather info from residents and businesses downtown. And that will help us report to the state, which, as a reminder, we're part of Main Street America federally and on the state level. And anyway, I think Payson's making an impression on them. Just so you know, I won an award for them. So yeah, exciting about that. But I'm gonna go and represent Payson and all the efforts that are going on. So yeah,
Awesome.
and Brian, it was your nomination. I did some research, so you must have, because I know you nominated Payson,
Right.
but then it said you nominated me too. So thank you. That's the reason I won. So thank you.
So, Ty, just so you know, the Grand Fondo, the bike race,
Yeah.
they heard about our event downtown and the off-road bikes and safety. They wanted to be a major player in that next year. So
Oh, sweet.
that'll be really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And if you guys want to get involved with that, I know like someone even set up a booth to sell what do you call these? $5 off. It was Ace Hardware set up a thing, and that was popular. So your booth doesn't have to be. You can be creative, So
Okay, great. Thanks, Ty. Okay, thanks, David. We're almost done here. So just prison recruitment, we talked about most of that, but just so you know, I think we're this close to getting the big box. But, should happen here.
Announcements coming. 2 days.
It's coming. Oh, it could be a while. Could be a while.
Supposed to be a while ago.
I laughed, 2 days, wait a minute, that was last Wednesday.
The reason I say it's gonna be a while is because they want to actually have put a plan for the city and kind of go through the approval process before they.
So do we start whipping Jill then?
No, they haven't done it yet. They haven't done it yet, so.
Oh, okay.
But no, so it's not like around the corner, I mean, it's gonna be a little bit, so.
Us engineers take a while.
Oh, man. Just AI it, will ya?
We're running out of time, so, one thing, we have an assignment for everybody for the golf event is to find two businesses or two people who'd like to that and kind of run through me so we can get the right fit and right matches. And
Does Brian know who you're interested in? Okay.
so retreat, we did a retreat just a little over a year ago. I was wondering if you wanted to do another retreat. I was thinking maybe we could do one like September and do it at the MTech building, just kind of a 3-hour retreat or something like that, have some food. That interest everybody. Okay. The vision statement, I sent that out, but if you can just respond back in an email to me and just if you have any ideas or changes or thoughts on that. And I think you're going, making this, the hometown, small town charm, I think that's the key, and the adventure is the key to this, because when we did our survey a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that was one of the biggest things in Payson was the small town charm. Or keep a small town feel. And we're gonna do another survey, the same as we did 2 years ago, see how we're doing tracking from where we were 2 years ago. So that's it, I think. So any questions or anything real quick? Okay, thanks everybody, and Justin, thanks for coming and reporting about your business. We're excited that you're here and you have a great product. So. Thank you. So anyway, thanks everybody. Thanks for all the committees that work on everything.